Hey, hello everyone. I'm Lee Jenkins, and this is my co-host, Karen Gatrinig,
Hi.
uh, our most recent published author. Very, very exciting. I'm sure it's going to be a bestseller, uh, and it should be because Karen is a great person who never stops smiling. That's her middle name. Anybody's interested. Karen's middle name is Smiles. It's Karen Smiles Gatrinig. See what I'm saying? It's, right?
It's
So,
great. Yeah.
so here we are again. We're back with Raymond Hollowell's Working the Law. This particular chapter is the law of compensation. I think everybody kind of likes the idea of compensation. So this probably help us understand a little bit more of how this particular law goes. Now, I usually say this when we get started with these is Raymond Hollowell refers a great deal towards God and the Bible and Jesus and things like that. And really what he's doing is he's showing that this has been written before, uh, written many, many times, but it's not religious. He's not talking about religion here. He's talking about God as being the law. And we're talking about universal laws here. So the law of compensation, when he says law, he's saying it's the law of God, it's compensation. So, you're going to hear us talk a little bit about that. I just want to point out again that we're not trying to preach something here. This is nor was Raymond Hollowell. It was simply referencing to certain things, and I think it's brilliant, actually, to be honest with you. Because a lot of people do spend a lot of time at churches, and it can be an incredible experience. And as long as you're being lifted in some way, then how could that be wrong? That actually follows the law. So anyhow, as we go forward, I just want to point that out, just in case anybody doesn't like the term God and things like that. And uh, oh well, that's what this particular book is written this way, and I think it's brilliant, to be honest with you. So, anyways, we're at the law of compensation, and he does start right off the bat with a quote from the Bible in Galatians 6:7. Whatsoever a man sows, that shall he also reap. And these are things, again, I find it fascinating when he does refer to the Bible. The answers are all right there. It's just unfortunately some, I think, not so much individuals, but organizations maybe try to twist it slightly to benefit them rather than you. And I think I don't know that was any of what Raymond Hollowell was trying to do, but I can see evidence that that's possible. But again, if you're at a place that lifts you spiritually and enhances your life, then I highly recommend you keep going. It's all about that energy. It's about that vibration that you're in. It's going to make a difference. So whatever works. So hopefully this video that we're doing right now, again on the law of compensation, maybe help with that a little bit. Yeah. So as always, we've divided this up into who gets to read what, and it says Lee reads, so that's me.
Reads. Yeah.
So he starts out with, the world owes me a living. You hear people say, often with a reckless attitude of determination that they will collect that living in the easiest way that they know how. It is current talk at the fireside, across the table, over the radio, and even a political issue that so and so should receive a pension in order that he might live on a sum of $200 per month. Keep in mind when you're saying $200 a month, this was written in 1939. So $200 a month, more or less. Therefore, the statement is familiar to most of us when we hear it. I don't deserve this, or how unjustly life has dealt with me, are common expressions of defeat and failure. Why should that person have more than I? I am just as good as he is. We hear these remarks again and again. Again, this was written in 1939. I hear it all the time.
Yeah.
There's
Me
so many
too.
people. All you do is turn the radio, television on, and somebody's owed something, and it's not fair, right? Especially
Yeah.
right now, there's a U.S. election going on. Yeah, everybody's owed something. Like anyhow, that's today, by the way. Or no, it wasn't today. Anyhow, uh, okay, this part here, I like this too. It says the early religious teachings were that justice might be expected in another life. The rich and the powerful, assumed to be the work and the overbearing, were bound to receive their punishment in the end. While the poor, unfortunate ones, the wretched ones, were to be devoted to their religion and their church, then they were sure to be bountifully rewarded in the next life. Okay, right? The promise of heaven and all that glitters has never been held over them as a hope of future attainment to make up for their shortcomings on this plane of life. But no such attitude is ever accepted from the viewpoint of truth when you know the law. Sooner or later, we must come face to face with the law of compensation, and inevitably, our own comes to us, and only what is our own. As we apply to life and what its certain results, do we find a balance for the effort of living? Are we satisfied with the good we are receiving? Are we getting fair returns for our efforts? Do we feel that our own has really come to us? Most people are dissatisfied. There are some who even go so far as to say that life is not worth living. The great majority declare that injustice is righteous in the world, and more especially in our own lives, that unhappiness, sickness, and poverty exists through our living. Now, in the study of the laws of truth, we learn to apply them so that they will dissolve all our adverse thoughts and conditions. Now, the mistakes of a schoolboy do not come through the wise operation of the law. They come through miscalculation. These mistakes will continue so long as he continues using the law without correction. Now, this part here says these mistakes will continue until he changes his way of using the law. He cannot change the law to suit his mistakes, but he must change his use of the law to its correct application. Again, that's all about mindset. The laws of successful living are the same as the laws of science. The supply and the possibility is ever the same and at hand, but it is our problem to change the use of application of the law in order to bring about conditions better than those we have had. The purpose of this lesson is to show you that you can use the law to lift yourself out of the place where you are into the place where you rightfully belong. Your right place is where you can enjoy success and plenty. This is natural. As the law intended, your failure to this is the law as the law intended. Your failure to realize these things is a miscalculation, a mistake. The law does not need to change. Success or prosperity does not need to be made. It always is. And I think that's important to understand. I love that part. Success or prosperity does not need to be made. It always is. It's already here, right? But you, in turn, must change. Then your affairs will follow the change. Now, where do you change? Well, the seat of all movement, the controller of all activity, is your thought. The key to every man is his thought, says Emerson. Why do prisoners strive to get the warden's keys? That they may gain their freedom into the outer world, because there is no other way out. Neither can you be free of your bonds except through the key, through the right use of your thought. The key is successful living. The key to successful living is the right adjustment of our thoughts, your thoughts. If your thoughts are constructive and proper, you cannot remain imprisoned. If you are dissatisfied and unhappy, you will be inspired for something better. Right? So true, right?
Yeah, that's what we talked before. The complaining of the purpose and no purpose in life. This is a big problem.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That the people have no purpose and nothing to go for. So they just look what's outside and complain all day long.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what they focus on. And if they have to focus on the wrong things, the thoughts go in the wrong direction. So it's not the fault of the law, it's the thinking.
You're thinking, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the key to successful living is the right adjustment to your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I like it.
The interesting
Yeah.
thing is a lot of times, that person that's having a problem goes and tries to get advice from a person who always has problems.
Yeah.
Like they're reinforcing that negative thinking.
Mhm.
Therefore, you're going to get negative issues in your life, right? So,
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think it's my turn. He goes
that's
on
what it
with
says.
Hollywell says, Karen reads, if you want prosperity and success, but do not strive to change in any way, how can you expect things to be any different? A drunkard never becomes reformed until he decides to stop drinking. If some habit possesses or obsesses you, you are not the master of your life until you decide to change the habit. If you have been brought into the world amidst lack and limitation, you can never get above it until you change your ideas about it. There are many, many people who live and die and never know anything different from what has been handed down to them. Once you have changed your vision, you will change conditions. Only when we cease to recognize a condition do we cease to attract it. The only way we can cease to recognize things is to change our minds about them.
Yeah.
That's good because he's talking about the paradigms.
Yeah.
He's
Absolutely.
talking about the lens we see the world, and that's our programming when we are in childhood, when we are children, and yeah, we get the programming from the people. They love us. They
Yeah.
gave us the best, and they told us and taught us how we have to see the world.
Yeah. Which may not be correct.
Absolutely no.
But they did the best they could, right? That's the thing is we have to understand that these family members, usually our parents, when we're young, they teach us these things, and they're doing the best they can, and they give us the best that they have. But and they're basically see the world based on how they were conditioned to see it. So if we want to change it, then we have to change our thoughts, like you're saying, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So he goes on with, have you visited several homes and found them all different in some respect? They were neat, tidy, clean, orderly, bright, cheery, or dull, gloomy, disorderly, dusty, uninviting. The home is a reflection of the ruling mind. Its appearance speaks its keeper's mind. If you are working for success, look at the home. If order is the first law, then it must also be your first application. No, lack of money is no excuse for a disorderly home. It can be neat and clean even if you are using store boxes for furniture.
Mm-hmm.
If you wish a better home, a finer environment, nicer furnishings, you must alter your mind right where you are to receive better things. It is the little things that count, and many little things make a big thing. It is useless to pray for a new home if you cannot take care of your present home.
Good point.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
A couple operated a fish store in our neighborhood. They neglected to keep the store tidy, were not always courteous in their dealings, nor prompt with deliveries. Becoming discouraged from repeated losses, they closed out, selling what equity remained. The couple who bought the failing business and the fixtures moved in, rolled up their sleeves, scrubbed the room clean, and dressed it up with tide boards, making it appear attractive and prosperous. They attracted business at once, established a name for quality food,
Cleanliness.
cleanliness and courtesy. Their business, in spite of former conditions, steadily grew until it was necessary to lease an adjacent room and increase the size of the store. Some years have passed, And these two people have enjoyed an inviolable success in the same business and location where others had failed. The law helps those who help themselves. The law of compensation always works that way. When you perform your task to the very best of your ability, or when you're thorough in your work and do it well, you infallibly bring out the best there is in you. Otherwise expressed, you grow more capable and efficient. You become better and thereby show your growing superiority. And the law is that he who becomes better will attract the better and be given the greater things to you.
Yeah. Excellent advice, right? I like that about the business too, that business was failing because people didn't care about it. Like they just expected that people are going to come in and give them money. So they end up they had to sell it, right? And then the new person comes along and they had pride in what they were doing and their business immediately expanded, right? Mm-hmm. That's true with anything. It doesn't even have to be about a business. It could be anything in your life, right?
Absolutely. And I think about business, it's a good topic now at this time. Yeah. So many people say, no, at this time, I can't be successful with my business. Right. And I have no clients because all the people have no money. And no, it's only what we expect. It's only our paradigm, what we are programmed.
Yeah. And things aren't that bad out there right now. Inflation is a problem, I think, for people. But, again, it's temporary. If all of us have faith in things getting better, it will. I think I don't know, I just kind of get this idea that we're going through a transition. I think we're all rising in some way, whether we realize it or not.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
If you look back over, I've said this many times before, if you look back over like the last 100 years, or even if you go back to 1939 when this book was written, look at what we've accomplished since 1939. Mm-hmm. Like, it's amazing what we've accomplished. We're flying across the world in jets, private jets. We're going into space. We're taking, we're even getting to the point now where we're taking commercial flights into space. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely fascinating what we're capable of doing. So, mm-hmm. Are we going to have little blips where maybe things don't look as good as they did, say, a year ago? Sure. But that goes back again to everything we're saying from this book. If you follow the laws, you got nothing to worry about. And I know we were actually talking last week and the last one too about letting go and letting God. Well, that means just letting go and letting the universe, the laws of this universe, guide you to wherever you need. Like, there's no reason for anybody to be worried. It will get resolved. It is being resolved. And I think, again, this goes back into even when something goes wrong, it's an opportunity to learn. And you should praise the opportunity to learn. Right?
Yeah, it's always a question of your perception, right? How you see it. And many people focus on the negative things. But yeah, if we say this is a chance to learn, if something goes wrong, we have a different perception and therefore we have a different vibration.
Yeah. And you'll hear me say it all the time is, especially right now, like the news is loving talking about what's wrong. They always do.
Yeah.
So my suggestion is don't watch it because you don't need to watch it. There's no reason to watch it. They have an agenda that has nothing to do with what's in the best interest of you. By keeping you angry and afraid, they're guaranteed that you're going to want, as soon as you get up in the morning and before you go to bed at night, you're going to turn the news on so that you can know what's happening in the world today, because, I need to continue to be angry and afraid, and they've got you, right? And the reality is all they want you to do is tune in because that's how they make their money. They sell advertising, and they sell advertising based on how many people are watching, right? So don't watch it. I don't believe there's anything on the television that is probably really in your best interest, although I do watch television because I like to be entertained. But
Yeah. Look at some fun
I like the
movies.
music shows, the ones where the singer, like the Voice is on right now. I don't know if you have that over there, but the Voice is on. I watch stuff like that because I like why I like shows like that is because these are people chasing their dreams. Think about that, getting up on a stage where there's like a few million people watching you. That would take a lot, that wouldn't it? You'd have to have faith, wouldn't you? Okay. And they're doing it. So back to, I think it's my turn to read, and I think we're going back to talking about the people that expanded their business. So the principle involved is that when you become too large for your present place, you will begin to draw yourself to something larger. You cannot attract the better until you first become larger. You must earn what you receive, or you cannot keep it. If an individual appears to do so, it will not continue, for in accordance with the law of compensation, that person will find his true place. Or, as properly expressed, like water, he will find his true level. Or you can't keep a good man down. In truth, the only bar to your advancement is your own unfitness. In other words, he who more than fills his present place will sooner or later be advanced. Where it is not for this principle, there couldn't be no progress, no growth, no development, no evolution. I'm going to say here, if the office is all cluttered up with papers, magazines, and bundles, it is the boss's desk. If the boss's desk is stacked with mail and some a week old, the office force is careless. The business reflects the mind of the organization. The organization reflects the mind of its chief. Where do we go to find the cause of any leaks? We go to the head. We change his ideas, and the whole organization is converted directly. Change the mind of the general, and you have changed the root and purpose of the whole army. Again, this even I was just talking about the media, like politicians.
Absolutely.
It's fascinating the things that they say.
Yeah, absolutely. The last sentence changed the mind of the general, and you have changed the root and the purpose of the whole army.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So right now, if people are feeling as though they're not receiving the type of compensation, or they're worried about it, it's time to change the general. Right? Because in democracies, you're not the one that's calling the shots. What you're doing is you're voting for a person to represent you. And they say anything that they want you to think that they believe to get elected. And then they go, when they get there, they go and do whatever they feel like they want to do. Some don't. There are some great leaders in the world.
Absolutely.
I just have to admit that I'm not really too much aware of any of them at the moment. But hopefully that's going to change. I think it will change. I think the people, again, I said it earlier too. I think we're ascending in some way. I think we're starting to wake up. And that's a good thing.
I think so too.
So this part here kind of reminded me of, again, reality, the chapter we did on abundance tuning there and realities. It's to blame your difficulty on outer conditions or on other people is not correct. It is not the law. It is you who are wrong, right? And again, we talked about that in the whole idea of the chapter on reality and abundance tuning was, we're the cause. And it has nothing to do with blame or fault or anything like that. It's your conditioning somehow has caused you to put you in that situation. So he's kind of saying the exact same thing. So he goes on and says, you have a snag in your mentality somewhere. Right? That cause, right?
Absolutely.
Check back and readjust your ideas. They are creating and bringing forth your conditions. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? Jesus included this law as a supreme factor in his doctrine. Give and it shall be given unto you. Judge not that ye be not judged. With what measures ye meet, it shall be measured unto you. And Paul said, whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. That's the key, right? So, the law that we reap, what we sow, is mathematically accurate. Each experience through which we pass operates ultimately for our good. If we attract the unpleasant, it is often because some dormant or neglected phase of our nature needs to be awakened and developed. Also, we learn from the experiences to create something better. That's important to understand. Hence, the degree of contentment and satisfaction attained in whatever sphere of life we may dwell is largely dependent upon our ability to use constructively the experiences of life. 4, in every case, the law of attraction will only bring what may serve us in our upward development. To interpret this law in a simple form, it should be stated that whatever we attract, we require, and whatever we need is also good. This is a correct attitude to adopt because all experiences is for our good, and we must be able to see it that way, or see that light. Again, it goes back even to bad stuff. It's an opportunity to learn. Now, if you're constantly attracting something, negative things in your life, well, it's you, right? That's what it is. You have to change your thinking, change that vibration you're in. Now, while pursuing this practice, you may not always secure the precise form of result desired, but you will steadily build up your mind and character in harmony, beauty, and strength, because all such effort to realize the ideal is highly constructive and develops in you the very qualities and conditions repeatedly pictured in mind. Clear, strong, positive thought along ideal lines is a wonderful preventive of morbid mental states and negative thinking, which leads to misdirected actions and conditions of weakness, misfortune, discord, and trouble. By constantly trying to meet and to deal with everything on its better side and to use the good it may contain to promote improvements, you are giving the whole attention to the ideal in cooperation with the law's fundamental purpose. It's great stuff. It's
absolutely.
This is one of those books that I don't think a lot of people actually really are that aware of. And I think it's definitely, if you're into personal development, it's definitely something you want to add to your collection. So.
Absolutely. It's worth reading it. Yeah. Okay, it's my turn now. Crowd out all inferior thoughts by superior thoughts, evil thoughts by good thoughts, ugly thoughts by beautiful thoughts, distressing thoughts by pleasant thoughts, and you will begin to overcome the growth of all negative and confused states of wrong and discord. In other words, learn to think constructively of all persons, all things, all events, and all circumstances. Appraise them from the ideal point of view. As you do this, you will gradually transform your whole existence for the better. These are the means whereby you may steadily promote your welfare and advancement. As you train yourself for mentally look for the good, you will move towards the good. And as you form higher and larger conceptions of the good, these elements will begin to find expression in your words, acts, character, person, talents, powers, attainments, and achievements. That is, all things in your life will commence to improve as the direct results of your improving thinking. This process does not imply, however, that you are to ignore the wrongs of life, the empty places, and the undeveloped states of being, but that you are to think right through and beyond them towards the hidden good or the principle within that is ever seeking a higher, fuller expression. You will therefore cease to condemn and to criticize in a destructive manner. Instead, you will seek to bring out the good in yourself and in others, and to discover and develop the greater possibilities everywhere. And that's good, because that's where what you think about, you bring about. What you focus on, that's what you experience in your reality.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's, we cause everything. It's not our fault if we cause something, but we cause it through our thinking. And the best way to be aware that maybe we have some patterns or some subconscious programs, they work in the wrong direction, is that we look what do we have outside in our reality, and how do we feel. So If life is good and everything's perfect and the bank account is full and we have the perfect relationship and a wonderful time, then everything's perfect. But if something's not perfect, just look inside what you think about, because what you think about, you bring about. And he explains it so great. Yeah.
We are definitely the cause, right?
We are the cause. Yeah. Whatever we process today is our just reward. Very often it does not make us happy. We are dissatisfied with it, but still it remains ours. This fact would prove hopelessly discouraging were it not for a great truth that teaches us how to be free from every difficulty, released from all bonds, absolved from every debt. If you want success in living life, you must exercise an intelligent discrimination of your thoughts. When you talk hard times, money, scarcity, limitation, you are showing that type of seed. What kind of harvest do you expect to get if the farmer sowed thistle seed and then complained that his field did not bring forth wheat? You would say, foolish man, didn't he know he could only expect what he had planted? Never make an assertion, no matter how real it seems to be to you, if you do not want it reproduced or continued in your life. Do not say money is scarce. The very statement will send money away from you. Do not say times are hard. This will tighten your purse strings so tight that even God will not be able to slip in another coin. Do not say you are not loved or not interested in other people's life. Truly, you will lose the interest and the love. The spiritual supply from which the visible comes is never depleted. It never runs out. It is with you all the time. It will yield according to your demand upon it. It is not affected by your ignorant or blind talk of lack or loss. Only you are the one affected, and you control your demonstration with your thought. The unfailing resource is willing to give. It has no choice in the matter. If you continue to pour out your thoughts into this substance, this will prosper you. Turn the energy of your mind upon ideas of plenty, love, happiness, joy, health, and they in turn will appear.
Mm-hmm. Excellent stuff.
So that's so great. Yeah.
Carry on.
Yeah, that's absolutely great. And we can find here everything, how the laws are working, all the laws.
Right.
The focus and the thoughts, everything starts with the thoughts. We know how important it is that we are aware what we are feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's true, but we have the feeling in combination what we think. So first, everything starts with the thinking.
Yeah. A lot of what he was saying there too goes into line with, there's a lot of people out there getting worried about, what the economy might be looking like down the road, or talking about inflation and gas prices and all that kind of stuff. Well, the reality is, you may not know what the answer is for you at this particular moment, but if you have a belief and expectation and the answer is coming, then you'll be open to receiving it and you will find the answer. There's always an answer. There's an answer to everything. And I think it's really important. So, okay, it's my turn here. It says, if you want a better home, make the one.
I'm right back. Just a second.
Okay, my turn here. It says, if you want a better home, make the one you have as nice as you can. If you want new furnishings, new clothing, don't condemn or belittle what you have, but enjoy them to the fullest. If you want a position or a new one, get yourself in readiness to fill that position or improve the one where you are. Hence, your failure to meet your demands of life is not a failure of the material. It is but a failure within yourself of the lack of understanding or the lack of application. No matter what your problem is, the law can work it out, but you must adjust your thinking to work with the law, right? It's very important. Do not expect that in just a few moments or a few applications, you will realize a full consciousness of plenty. A builder does not erect a beautiful spire or dome to $1 million cathedral without foundation. He must first have support to hold that spire aloft. He builds walls and cross braces to hold each wall, and each wall is built slowly and perfectly, stone by stone. You must realize that by working and proving the law, you do so step by step, with each step bringing you closer to your goal. That goes in back what we've been talking about too, about the idea of like, your job is the what, and you need to start moving. Like it's, we were talking about you publishing your book. Like you didn't have any idea how to do that, but that's done, right?
Yeah. We just have to know what we want and why we want it.
Right. And start taking steps. And you have to build a foundation, and often you don't even know what that is, but you will be guided if you're following the law. Right?
Yeah,
that's the law. Right? That's the beautiful thing.
Yeah,
it is the law. So goes on to say, in Philadelphia, a man boasted that he was a success. He rose above his competitors. He drove them off the street, some of them out of business. He founded his business upon competition, but I learned only recently that his business had dwindled down to the place where he was forced to close out and move to a smaller town. The law of compensation works slowly but surely. One cannot build upon the substance or the virtue that another has created. You see that a lot too. People want to copy and just, I see it all the time. You can only build on that which you create. Competition in business is a rivalry or strife for two or more people. Fearing there is not enough for all. Before I go any further, I just want to point out competition is actually good. Healthy competition. It's just
healthy competition. Right. Healthy competition, exactly.
What we're talking about here is somebody who, again, fearing that there's not enough for all, they fight with one another to get all they can. And yet we live in a world where there's no end to anything. There is no shortage of anything. So don't fear your neighbor is getting more out of life than you are. Don't try to compete with anyone or anything. It has been said that competition is the spirit of business, but I do not think that competition in the form of rivalry and strife or arguing and fighting and lying about each other and each other's business is the right spirit. It's not. I know it is. I said it, and he's saying it too. I know it's not. me and Raymond we're on the same path. Rather than call competition the spirit of business, let us call it compensation. Compensation means equal returns for that which is given. It means a balance of that quality or service that is extended to another. I am certain that if you conduct your life, which is your business, along the path of compensation rather than competition, you will find it more enjoyable to compare your quality and service with another. The better your service, the greater the reward, the more business you will attract. If you follow this law, you will find that it is the golden rule in any life or in any business. You will be certain to succeed no matter if there are other so-called competitors seeking business in the same block. Now, I've seen this before. I remember back when I was young and liked going drinking, and I was on the West Coast, living in the west side of Canada, and close to the border in the United States. I think of Colorado, I think it was. But the drinking age in Canada was 21 at the time. The drinking age in I think it was Colorado, was 18. Now, when you cross the border, there's just maybe 10 minutes down the road, there's this small little tiny town. Hardly anybody lived there. Could have been more than a few hundred people. But there was this one street that had 10 bars, 5 on each side. And on the weekends, it was absolutely packed all the time. Now, they were all individual owners. They weren't the same owner. These were 10 different business owners who got together and realized that there's this massive market right across the border in Canada that could come and basically feed the entire town. Like it was kind of crazy. I know it because I went there, and there were so many people that they'd be on the streets and in the bars, and like it was just, and there'd be live music, and The town itself could not possibly keep that alive. But they got together. They weren't competing with each other. They were focusing on compensation, and it worked. I would imagine that all those owners of those businesses probably lived in the town. So they had a thriving town based on them working together, seeking out compensation rather than competition. So he goes on to say here, if you're not succeeding, if you lack any good thing, look more closely to the cause. It's not outside, it's somewhere within. See where you fail to use the law correctly, or where you fail in your consciousness to think rightly. There are 3 points common in every life where one may fall into a snare and a delusion. Now we're going to let Karen tell us what those 3 points are.
Yeah, right? The 3 points. Very exciting.
I know that because it says Karen reads here.
It's Karen. Raymond knows me. First of all, do you expect something for nothing? Does it make you feel good, pleased when you get something without paying for it? If so, you are violating the law. Your returns will always be unsatisfactory. No matter where you go, be willing to pay for your way. Have you known some people who hang back when you go out for an evening's entertainment? They stand back and let the others fellow pay for the show. People like that lose hundreds of dollars when they try to save themselves a paltry 50 cents. The quality of thought they entertain repels many dollars they rightly could attract. If you knowingly cheat another one of $1, it may cost you many dollars for the mistake.
Yeah.
That's a good example. Yeah, when people stand in the back rows and let the other fellows pay.
the bill comes and they have to go to the washroom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the second here is, do you hunt for things that are called cheap? Are you a bargain hunter? Cheap thoughts can only bring cheap returns. You who wait for bargain days will always have to take bargains, but remember, there are no bargains in life. If you have gained monetarily, you may have lost in other ways. You place yourself in a vibration that lowers your present state. It forces you below your proper level. It limits your thought to a state where you support underselling, cutting, bankruptcy, and dishonesty on the part of the seller. He must lie or deceive or cheat somehow about the price of the bargain or some other article because he is in business to make a fair profit. Thus, you become a party to the violation and come under its penalty. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Third one. Pardon me?
No, carry on. Right.
Okay, the third one. Do you begrudge spending money? Do you hate to pay your bills? Release your money cheerfully, even if it be the last dollar you have. Decide what your need is. If it is of more value than the dollar in your purse, then spend the dollar cheerfully. In this way, you comply with the law. Often when we get to a law level, we begin to tighten up on our purse strings. We begin to hold back. This is like closing the faucet, limiting the supply from pouring into you. I remember a man telling of a time when he had an urgent need for $1,000. He had but a $10 bill in his purse, and he was holding on to that bill like a drowning man to a straw. For days, he said, he carried it about with him, afraid to spend it for fear of being broke. Suddenly it occurred to him that he was pinning his faith more on the $10 than he was on the true source of supply. He was closing his faucet with the mere $10 bill. It had grown to become a fearful obstruction. When he realized this truth, he sat down and at once and mailed the bill to a nearby church. And following the release of the bill, supply began to flow into him. Before that week was out, he received his $1,000, enough to pay the month's obligations. He added, "Never since has supply failed to flow to me, for I learned my lesson." The law inevitably produces its own exactness as a rule of action. It is a divine law and tolerates no violation. It does not bring forth figs from thistles. If man misuses the laws of harmony, health, or supply, the law of compensation becomes manifest. We are free agents to choose the method of procedure in our life. The law is infinite, and through its expressions, all things are possible to us. Every time we choose a good thought, we make a good investment.
Yep.
What is life giving you today? Health, happiness, and abundance, or sickness, misery, and lack? Whatever it is your own. It belongs to no one else but you. You make your investments and you are daily enjoying the profits or losses. If you are dissatisfied with your investment, it may be wise for you to note what you invested. Only your own can come to you, and be sure that all that is yours will become manifest. It is your responsibility. No other person may share it. Your own and all of your own will come to you. And the last is here. I rave no more against time or fate, for lo, my own shall come to me. From John Boros.
Yeah, it goes back to everything we've kind of been talking about, how we are the cause, right? And
yeah,
if things aren't good in your life,
yeah,
you're causing it. And if things are great in your life, you're causing that too. And
we're causing it. Yeah,
like I know we've been talking about, like, there's a lot of negative people out there. The reality too is, we have an obligation to ourselves to not get caught up in those conversations.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're complaining because they haven't caused what they want in life. They've caused what they don't want in life. And by associating and getting caught up in the conversation, you're doing the same thing to yourself. And it's important, again, like we need to do exactly what Raymond Hollowell's showing us here, is we have to take responsibility. Like the very last part there, it is your responsibility. No other person may share it. Your own and all of your own will come to you, good or bad.
Good or bad.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the law of compensation. Right? So we've reached the end of this particular chapter in the book. Another fantastic chapter. Again, highly recommend taking some time studying this. If you don't have a copy of it, we can certainly get you a downloadable version, a PDF, and you can reach out to Karin Smiley Gatternig, or or myself, Lee Jenkins. And what's the best place to reach you at there, Karin, if they want to reach out?
Website? Yeah, my homepage is karingatternig.com. So just reach out to me.
Reach out, say hello, start learning the laws.
Say hello.
Of universe,
yeah.
Right?
If anyone has any question, just reach out.
Yeah. I know, for a fact, I've known Karin for a while now. We've become pretty good friends, I think. At least I think. I'm not sure. I think I'm her friend. But anyways,
yes, of course.
Like my experience with Karin is she knows her stuff. So if you're looking for somebody to work with, I highly recommend that you have a chat with Karin. She certainly knows this type of material. So again, karingatternig.com. And then, of course, if you'd like to speak with me, I'm at liamjenkins.com. And we also have a great network that we've created. It's the Elevate Network. All the programs and a lot of this is on there where you can be part of it. We have we're building more and more avenues for people to get connection with us live. We've got right now we've got the roundtable that we're doing. So there's many great things. I highly recommend maybe checking it out. You can get information again from Karin or myself, or go to myelevatenetwork.com. So we'll be seeing you again next week. What's next week, Karin? Do you know?
The law of non-resistance is next week. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. So great seeing everyone. We'll be back again in another week. Take care.
Bye.